The real reason for Halo's delay, Prince of Persia leak, and the daily gaming news recap coming right up. Welcome back to Sodi Pop right here on YouTube. Today is Wednesday, August 19th. I'm Matty, and this is Chatty with Matty, your source for the daily gaming news recap. I'll be recapping everything that happened last few days this week and some big news today. We're going to start off with a couple smaller stories. I have my drink. Let's chat. So, High Score is a Netflix documentary series about golden age of games. It's coming from Nintendo enthusiasts here. You can see that High Score is a 6-episode Netflix documentary premiering on Wednesday, August 19th, today, about the golden age of video games and the revolutionary stages of gaming. Explicit topics for each episode in the series have been specified, but haven't been specified. Nintendo, Sega, Space Invaders, Final Fantasy, Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, Sonic the Hedgehog, Madden, NFL, Pac-Man, and Doom are all cited in the promotional materials. I'm more than willing to watch any documentary that talks about Final Fantasy. That goes for me as well. Super hyped about that, so go ahead and check it out on Netflix tonight if you're excited as well. Also, we see that WB Montreal a little bit earlier this week released this teaser for what can only be assumed to be a Batman game. A whole bunch of images flash behind it. Now, this has been one of the worst kept secrets in video games. We have known there's going to be some sort of Batman game, and it's been highly regarded that it's going to be the Court of Owls Batman game, and this just seems to prove it. On the 22nd, we should hear more from the WB Montreal Games actual showcase coming from the DC event, so very excited for that. We also have some more maybe negative news coming from WB Games that we'll talk about later in the cycle. Also from Xbox, they have the new experience. So we talked about this a few days before about their beta, or last week, but now it's officially launched for their beta, and then we'll see the main tidbits here. The home screen will load more than 50% faster when you boot up your Xbox, and is almost 30% faster to load when you're returning from a game. Furthermore, these improvements use 40% less memory than what was previously required. All positive stuff. Earlier this month, we unveiled the new Microsoft Store on the console, rebuilt to your feedback in mind, and it's fast. We cut the app launch in time to 2 seconds, and the updated navigation makes it quicker and easier to find out what you're looking for. It's easy to understand at a glance, and what's included or discounted with any memberships you have, like Xbox Game Pass. Great stuff. We're going to talk about the Xbox Game Pass later. So they are launching a new mobile app. So using the new mobile app, Xbox friends can quickly send messages or launch parties to keep conversations going even when they're on the go. We've also consolidated notifications, which reflect activity across mobile, PC, and console. That's great. We combined related activities like parties and chats into a single tab on the Xbox console guide, so it's easier to know what's going on with your friends and communities. Just a wonderful, very clear update. Also coming from Microsoft, Flight Simulator is out today, available now on PC, so go ahead and check it out on Windows 10 if you are so inclined. Remember that had a whole bunch of pre-orders this last week. And then also Nintendo Switch officially launches in Brazil, or coming to Brazil. I had no clue it wasn't in Brazil. I know in Brazil they actually have a crazy high cost for game consoles. I don't know if it's due because of tariffs or whatnot. Come on, Brazil. Awesome. Super excited for that. And we have we have my cat here. We have the Prince of Persia remake listing. This was on I think an Ecuador store, and we possibly see that Prince of Persia is being outed again. Yet another Ubisoft game outed as a listing. Prince of Persia remake. That'd be awesome to see. You know, we have Prince of Persia Sands of Time and many other games. I would be curious to see if this is real. It seems like it will be real. I mean, Ubisoft, this has been one of its biggest weaknesses. It's constantly getting outed by these random retailers like Amazon UK or something. So this, I would take it as real, more real than not, especially since Ubisoft has like a big history with this. Now on to, I would say, the biggest news story of the day, of the week. So we had Halo Infinite delayed. Now we talked a little bit about why it was delayed before. You know, internal stuff at 343 Industries. We took a look at Glassdoor reports. If you don't know what Glassdoor is, Glassdoor is a website you can go on if you're looking for jobs or if you have a job, and you can review the company that you're working for, or you can review if you maybe interviewed with the company, how the interview went, how the bosses are, how the culture is. Kind of, again, like a glass door through a company. Allows you to see a little bit what you're getting into if you're looking for a job, or if you're currently at the company and then looking into different segments of that company. 343 had cited a lot of outside work, and then a lot of people that were in the company said, yeah, there's a lot of talented people there, but we rely so heavily on outside talent. Even the outside talent said, hey, our contracts are limited to 18 months. Remember, they're limited to 18 months. So even if we're working really well with the team, we're short-term employment no matter what. They won't keep us on, because that's an overall Microsoft thing, not a 343 Industries thing, that the contractors are limited to 18 months, so you never get this continuation that you need for video games, which require 4-year, 5-year, 6-year projects sometimes. Halo Infinite. So let's look into this. This is coming from Thurrott.com, an investigative report. I want to give credit where credit is due, Brad Sams. So again, we looked at those reviews. This guy, though, Brad Sams, kind of puts everything together. Remember that we were told from 343 Industries and Microsoft that COVID, or the virus, was part of the reasoning, not the whole reasoning. They kind of left the rest up for people to guess. Now I think we know the reasoning, and man, this is more troubling, I think, than we may have thought. So let's read into this and we'll talk about it a little bit afterwards. Quote from the article, Brad Sams: one of the challenges of building Halo Infinite is that the significant portion of the game is being outsourced to third-party contractors, as we talked about. This is not all that unusual, but the coordination between the many different companies contributing to Infinite has been rough at best. One person familiar with the company's plans indicated that they believe the outsourcing for Infinite was at a ratio higher than any other typical studio undertakes during development, which has caused significant headaches for cross-development collaboration. In my understanding, so this is talking about the 2019 trailer, Discover Hope. The 2019 trailer was outsourced and it looked pretty good. Most people thought it looked really good. Now he's talking about the 2019 trailer in relation to what's going on here. So it is my understanding that the 2019 trailer was again outsourced, and at the time the game was not in a state that was playable at the level of fidelity. Even though the trailer says game engine footage, this is a nebulous term that we don't know if this is an attempt to show what gameplay would look like, or quote, not plausible at the time base that we have seen, or what cutscenes would look like, which is more plausible explanation, but this vastly oversold expectation for Infinite's later demos. Multiple people familiar with the development efforts behind 343 have described the collaborative effort behind the development as challenging, and significant disagreements internally have become public, with Tim Longo, creative director for Halo Infinite, leaving the company in August of 2019. Wow. Pointed to Tim's role after he left was Mary Olsen, who left the company in October of the same year. At the time, 343 said that there's no creative dilemma inside the studio, but clearly there was turmoil inside the walls about the development progress of the game. One of the big questions that started to manifest in late 2019 was how could 343 change from the path forward for Halo Infinite so that they could actually meet the holiday 2020 deadline. Phil Spencer has confirmed that splitting up the campaign and multiplayer was a serious consideration, but this was not a recent discussion as many had assumed, as this option started being considered as early 2020 or possibly late 2019, so almost a year ago. One insider states that the production of Halo TV series for the Showtime has been significant distraction for 343 management, oftentimes taking their priority instead of focusing on making sure development progress is on the right path to reaching its targeted deadline. One of the other disconnects has been hearing about many recently is that engineering and marketing have been on two different planets. Engineering has been asking for delays and to hold material back, but marketing has been plowing forward. An example of this happened a couple weeks ago with the Halo team announcing that multiplayer would be free and run at 120 frames per second. Why would the marketing team push this out and generate another wave of pre-release excitement for the game if the management knew that the game was likely to be delayed. Marketing won the argument, and those on the engineering side sat on the sidelines as marketing kept pushing more Halo news out the door, with the reality being that the game was unlikely to ship anytime soon. When you look at all of the issues facing 343, including the game engine, significant outsourced development, turnover in key positions, trailers that regressed in quality, and then they sprinkle in the virus on top, it's not all that surprising that these things have not gone so smoothly as many had hoped. The question is how 343 is going to correct the course and how they can actually ship a game that lives up to promises that have been made. But the biggest challenge of all may be internal. Microsoft has invested hundreds of millions of dollars into Halo Infinite, with the end goal being a title that would elevate Xbox Series X at launch, but all we know is that it no longer is going to happen. Wow. So this is big stuff. This is a big revelation. So initially we thought, okay, just like everything is being affected by the virus right now, that makes a lot of sense. They kind of left it up that there could be other reasons. And it's clear to me from this article and from other things we've heard, development turmoil from lead creative, two creative directors left within months of each other at the end of 2019. Are you kidding me? I mean, Halo Infinite could be a lot further off than we think. It could also, it could not only be a lot further off, is that maybe it will launch when it's ready in 2021, but it may need some significant work to get where I think fans expect the quality to be. From this article, this is not painted in a good light. There's a lot of internal turmoil at 343. We have also heard about the outsourcing quite a bit, and that outsourcing leaves big gaps, and it just seems like there's big gaps everywhere for the management team there. This does not paint a good picture at all. I think Halo might be in a lot more trouble than we may have initially thought, because a lot of people are saying, oh, the virus. Of course, we're expecting delays. The virus does affect everything. It affects so many creative processes, but this may just be the icing on the top. We might only be seeing the tip of the iceberg concerning the troubles with this. So I hope these get fixed, but it seems like an internal thing which is not easy to fix. It goes to the people at the top, and usually that infects the rest of the industry. Obviously we saw the massive troubles that 343 has had with the Master Chief Collection. This might just be spilling right over into Halo Infinite. Let me know what you think down below with this specific story. I'm super curious to see just anything. Just let me know what you think. Will they actually come out of it? Will they make it better? Or will it be just another okay Halo game? All right, moving on. Deathloop, also in news of getting delayed. Deathloop has been delayed. This was one of the bigger games, I would say, for PlayStation 5. It was a console exclusive at launch. So let's read this statement from Arcane Lion. We've made the decision to move the launch date of Deathloop to Q2 2021. Our ambition for Deathloop is to deliver a signature Arcane game that takes you to never before seen places in a stylish new world. At the same time, the health and safety of everyone in Arcane Lion remains our top priority, and we've adjusted to work from home. We found that delivering this game an exciting experience at the polish and quality level that defines both Arcane game and the true next-gen experience is taking longer than normal. This extra time will allow the team to bring Deathloop's world to life as much character and fun as you've come to expect from our team. While we know this is the right decision for Deathloop, we share your disappointment and apologize for making you wait even longer. Thank you for support and excitement. Your positive feedback has helped fuel us and will continue to work from the confines of our home. We can't wait to share more details about Deathloop with you, so keep eyes open for the next update coming soon, Arcane Lion. Disappointment is not the end-all be-all. I am very excited for the game. Again, I think you might as well delay the game and just make it as good as it can be when it comes out. We haven't heard anything else like Halo about internal struggle. More delayed games. So again, we saw Vampire the Masquerade. This goes back to Halo. We're kind of seeing why Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 might be delayed. Again, it could be because of the virus, but it seems like something else here. So this coming from Kotaku, Ethan Gash here, or Gak. Vampire, the original writer, Masquerade, has been fired from the sequel. So Brian Mitsoda, a lead writer on the original Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, has been laid off from the development team working Bloodlines 2. Hardsuit Labs and Paradox Interactive announced on the game's website today. Creative director Kai Clooney is no longer working on the game as part of a larger organizational changes to the development team. These changes to the team are focused on one thing: to bring you the best possible Vampire the Masquerade game, Hardsuit Labs and Paradox wrote. We will share further updates as they occur. Mitsoda replied, the major role in writing and designing the first Bloodlines in 2004 action RPG cult classic about warring factions of vampires, werewolves, and other demonic creatures, and his constant presence on the sequel's promotional campaign helped give new project credibility with fans of the original. In a statement to Rock Paper Shotgun, Mitsoda said that his termination from the project, which according to him occurred just over a month ago on July 16th, came as a shock. I've worked on Bloodlines 2 for almost 5 years, he told the site. The story and the main cast is initially conceived in my living room. I helped develop the pitch for Hardsuit Labs and helped pitch the project to Paradox in Las Vegas. I've been in charge of the narrative since the beginning, working long days, sometimes weekends, to deliver a successor to Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and I've never been led to believe that I haven't succeeded. Due to the quality bar, so this is coming again from Paradox Labs, due to the quality bar and the ambitions that we have set for ourselves, we have made it difficult decisions that we need to at this time, they said at the time, but this was apparently news to Mitsoda, who told Rock Paper Shotgun that he was unaware of the decision to delay the game before it was announced. I was not part of the conversation that led to the decision to delay the production, and to my knowledge, there was no delays caused by Bloodlines 2 narrative development, he had said in the statement. I am confident and proud of the work that I have put forward, and when the work will be seen and the form it takes will be unknown to me. Paradox Interactive did not immediately respond to requests for comment. So again, looks like more internal turmoil. It seems like maybe they're taking the direction of Bloodlines 2 in an entirely different directions. I mean, they're firing a couple of big lead guys pretty soon before it was supposed to be released. So maybe, again, this is another year or two off. They're completely changing narrative direction. I wonder how that was made. I would love to see it through the looking glass here. All right, so we spoke about this Batman game before, coming from WB Montreal. Speaking of Batman, Rocksteady, who is creator of some Batman games quite a bit ago, had some allegations. So in 2018, apparently a letter was sent to them detailing some harassment that women faced in the office. This was signed by 10 of the 16 companies' women workers. I'm going to go ahead and read this from The Guardian. So the letter, dated November 2018 and signed by 10 of the company's 16 female staff at the time, raised complaints about behavior including slurs regarding the transgender community and discussing a woman in a derogatory or sexual manner with other colleagues, the sexual harassment in the form of unwanted advances and leering at parts of a woman's body, and inappropriate comments in the office. Since then, it is claimed that the response has mounted to one training seminar that multiple signatories have left the company owing to the lack of action. One of the letter's signatories, who asked to remain anonymous, she said she had decided to share the letter with The Guardian because she felt that they were still suffering from sexism, harassment, and inappropriate behavior at Rocksteady. Quote, I have heard everything from groping claims to incidents involving senior staff, all of whom are men, she said. Yet, the only thing we had a result was a company-wide seminar that lasted an hour. Everyone who attended was asked to sign a statement confirming they've received the training. It felt like it was just a way for them to cover their arses. She said the letter was kept private in part due to the company's devotion to secrecy, which is not unusual in the video game sector, and in part because the staff feared that they would be let on bad terms and would be denied credit for the company's upcoming game, the adaptation of DC Comics' Suicide Squad. Going down a little bit further, this is coming from Rocksteady, this quote, from day one at Rocksteady Studios, we are set out to create a place where people are looked after. The place fundamentally built on respect and inclusion, a spokesperson said. In 2018, we received a letter from some of our female employees expressing concerns that they at the time, and we immediately took firm measures to address the matters that were raised. Over the subsequent 2 years, we have carefully listened and learned from our employees, working to ensure every person from the team feels supported. In 2020, we are more passionate than ever to continue the development of our inclusive culture, and we are determined to stand up for all of our staff. Last Thursday, after The Guardian contacted Rocksteady for comment, management called an all-staff meeting where they discussed the letter for the first time. New initiatives were promised to prevent further discrimination, The Guardian understands. The signatories cited recent changes at the French games firm Ubisoft as another reason she shared the letter. Last month, several executives, including Chief Creative Officer, Second in Command Sergei Hasquet, and resigned amid allegations of misconduct and inappropriate behavior at the company. Wow. So I'm glad to see this getting attention. I hope this causes change, but this just shows like how deep and widespread these sexual improprieties, these allegations go at major gaming companies. I mean, of course, this needs to be completely wiped out from the gaming sector. It is pretty crazy that the company didn't seem to take it seriously. Even they said that the management had discussed it for the first time just recently, and maybe in 2018 that was kind of all that was said, and that's not too surprising. I've seen different companies have allegations and they have a meeting where they say, hey, this is not appropriate. People get slaps on the wrist or nothing happens at all. They sign away, and it just covers them from any legal action. So hopefully these get fully rooted out, and hopefully the staff at the company feels supported, as you should when you are a staff at any company as well. Moving on to Red Dead, it is being removed from Xbox Game Pass. Red Dead Redemption 2 will be leaving in September 7th. I mean, man, it's been 2 months since it's been on. Apparently GTA 5, that was the same deal. It was only on for a couple of months. You can still play it. Make sure to finish up your missions, but what a quick coming and going. I don't like that. That's not fun. I mean, Xbox Game Pass, it is a great deal, but that is something that is possibly would be suck in the future, especially such a big game like Red Dead. You can play it for so long. Also, FIFA 21 won't allow PS5 and PS4 players to interact with each other. This coming from Push Square. Really, the end-all be-all of this is that, yes, you will get a free upgrade from the PS4 to PS5 when you buy it, but you won't have crossplay. So if you're playing on a PS5 version, you can't play with your friends on the PS4. Kind of to be expected. I'm hoping that more and more companies do crossplay, that we are seeing more and more companies actually do that. And also, guys, if you haven't yet, please like, follow, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think about Halo. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. I'm going to start more gameplay videos now that I have my setup a little bit more. And then I'm probably over the next month or so, I'm going to be setting up this space to do more for you guys. I'm very excited about the future of Sodi Pop. And please, of course, share this with friends or family, anyone who you think might enjoy, and hit that subscribe button. Moving on, Dave Lang. So Dave Lang is in the games industry. He is a friend, if you've ever seen Giant Bomb. He's always constantly on Giant Bomb content. A really funny guy, to be honest. So he says here on Twitter, this is coming from Oculus Rift, that they're announcing that they will no longer allow Oculus Rift accounts. Now you're going to have a Facebook account to interact with Oculus Rift. That sucks. He says, when I deleted my Facebook account a few years ago, I tried to transfer all my games to the new account. Was told I couldn't do that. As a result, I haven't used my Rift since. People have Oculus accounts because they hate Facebook. This is so backwards. That is so true. He couldn't do his Facebook account. He couldn't transfer it. That is a huge no-no. That sucks. I mean, so many people, I'm sure, are going to be locked out. And a lot of people don't want Facebook. I mean, Facebook has horrible privacy standards. This is a bad thing for Oculus in general. This is something I was definitely worried about when Oculus sold to Facebook long ago. Hopefully they reversed this decision and there's enough outcry here. If you're looking for sales, PlayStation has got them. So we have PlayStation Store games under 16 euros or $20. It's coming from Push Square, of course. They are based, I believe, in the UK. a few deals here. Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, Castlevania Anniversary Collection. So that is just now $6.99. Go ahead and check that out. Really good. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection just for $19.79. LA Noire for $19.99. Metal Gear Survive, probably skip that. Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, one of my favorite, remastered for $14.99. Get that. If you like RPGs at all, you should absolutely get that. Also, Tales of Berseria for $9.99. The Witcher Wild Hunt 3 for $14.99. We also have Wolfenstein New Order and XCOM 2. Wolfenstein only for $6 there, and XCOM for $15. Of course, round down a cent. Also, as far as sales, so we have right here Game Pass. So again, we saw yesterday in the Nintendo Indies Direct a whole bunch of fantastic indies. I checked out a few myself I'm very excited about, but you can get them for even cheaper, if not free, if you already have Game Pass. So make sure you're paying attention. Yesterday these came out. I actually downloaded a few myself. So Spiritfarer, which is one of the bigger indies I would say that was teased in that direct, right here for $4.99 or $1 on Game Pass PC, $4.99 from there on, and then I believe $15 if you have an Xbox. Spiritfarer, there's Battletoads, Don't Starve, new Super Lucky's Tale, which is really good. You also have Hypnosis Outlaw, which was in the direct yesterday. Looks like Double Kick Heroes, Wasteland 3. You have Darksiders, was it Eternal Collection or Genesis? Resident Evil 7, awesome. Also Crusader Kings Flight Simulator and The Crossing. So very cool. Go ahead and check those out. Remember, a couple of those, the Hypnospace Outlaw and Spiritfarer, were on that direct yesterday. So go ahead and check them out for free. And then all the Nintendo indie games that were on there yesterday are pretty much on sale. So we have Streets of Rage 4, which wasn't on there yesterday, but still a fantastic game. We have A Short Hike, which I picked up. I really like that game so far. You have Dead Cells, Takeshi and Hiroshi, which was on the game yesterday, Evergate, which is apparently actually a pretty darn good action platformer, Hotline Miami Collection. Just go ahead and check these out. Lots of really good stuff. And Manifold Garden was there yesterday, so lots of good sales. If you're looking for more free stuff, well, Ghost of Tsushima, if you already have the game, you can get this update for free. This is a multiplayer update, brand new, for free. They'll be coming out a little bit later, but this is called Legends. So Ghost of Tsushima Legends coming out in the fall. Let's go ahead and talk about what it's for. So it's a new experience. It's a separate mode that doesn't follow the main campaign. Legends is a haunting and fantastical with locations and enemies inspired by Japanese folk tales and mythology, and emphasis on cooperative combat and action. We designed Legends to be exclusively cooperative gameplay experience. You'll be able to partner up with friends via online matchmaking and play Legends in groups of 2 to 4 players. Each player can choose from one of 4 different character classes: the Samurai, Hunter, Ronin, or Assassin. Each class has unique advantages and abilities that will reveal in the future. With 2-player in Ghost of Tsushima Legends, you'll be able to play as a series of co-op story missions that escalate in difficulty, building on the foundation of combat from the single-player campaign, but with new magical twists that often require careful synchronization with your partner. With 4 players, you'll be able to take on wave-based survival missions, fighting groups of toughest enemies Tsushima has to offer, including new Oni enemies with supernatural abilities. If you can best the story and survival missions, you may be confident enough to take on the 4-player raid that will arrive shortly after the launch of Ghost of Tsushima Legends, sending you and your partners to an entirely new realm to challenge a terrifying, brutal enemy. That sounds awesome. So it sounds like if you have 2 players, you're going to be facing different missions. If you have 4, then you can take on these survival modes, and then you have a full-on raid, which sounds phenomenal. What a cool free upgrade. Really amazing there. Also, in other news, we have the consoles. So we spoke a little bit about Xbox Series X, PS5, what's actually inside them. A few days ago, we have a new cooling solution that was detailed through a patent. Now, we've seen patents before. We saw another cooling solution for the PS5, which has the air coming on both sides. Now, this specifically talks about a liquid metal instead of like this grease that's used to cool the solution. So this article is coming from Game Rant. We're going to quickly show exactly what that means. The liquefied metal will replace the grease that has been situated between the semiconductor chip and the system's radiator. According to the patent, the metal will lower the thermal resistance between the 2 parts of the console, which will improve the cooling performance of the semiconductor chip. The liquefied metal will keep sealed in the console with ultraviolet cured resin, so that it will not leak onto other parts of the console while heated. While some of these people are nervous about the console containing liquefied metal, especially with electronic device having to be built and shipped, but it is metal only liquefied when the device is on. So keep that in mind. Kind of a cool, unique feature. We'll see if that makes it into the final product. Again, it is a patent. And also we saw Hot Chips did a deep dive onto the Xbox Series X system architecture. Really intense, really deep. I'm not a system architect, I hobbled together my own PC. I will go through this, kind of compare it to the PS5. If I can find any differences or if these things make sense to me, I'll explain it the best I can to you guys. And usually what I like to do is I don't like to do a 30-minute deep dive explanation. I like to say, here's the main differences, and here is what is possibly important to the final end product, because you probably don't care about 1 gigahertz here, 1 gigahertz there. What does that mean for the end user when games do come out? Also, we saw Xbox that ray tracing is developers, if they want to use it, they can, but they don't have to. So PC Gamer, there's an article coming. I want to be very clear. We saw this on the PS5. Now, what this is saying is that Xbox is saying, hey, you can use ray tracing, but you don't have to. Ray tracing is very hardware intensive. So for some games, they might prefer to use a different lighting system that maybe gives them a little bit more frames per second. And maybe the art style they're going for doesn't really need ray tracing. So the point is that developers can use it if they want to, but they are not forced to. That's great. We just want more freedom for developers. We have seen the same thing on the PlayStation 5. And then earlier this week, Baulders Gate did a massive exploration into their gameplay. Man, it looks really, really good. So if you're familiar with D&D, Baldur's Gate is essentially a real-time D&D. Looks really fantastic, super heavy into the RPG. Lots and lots of choices they detailed. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. Number one, you'll definitely be going to hell. The beginning has you going to hell after you're attacked by mind flayers. There's this battle between demons and dragons, or devils and demons, and then lots and lots of choices. There's going to be early access on PC. We'll talk about that in a moment. You can summon familiars. You can summon a bunch of different familiars. They have like spiders, dogs, cats, bears, owlbears, all sorts of different stuff, and they don't have any leashes on them. So if you go into the spider, you can take it anywhere you want to in the world. The one limit is it can't go through doors. You can use a cat to distract enemies while a rogue sneaks behind him. Really cool, weird stuff. And there's so many interactions. So we're going to look at this IGN article. They talk about the actual early access that's coming out, and it is legitimately early access. So they're very careful to say that if you want early access, expect there to be bugs. This isn't going to be polished early access. We want to learn from this early access to provide you the best experience when the game does release. So this is coming out September 30th, 2020, with delays permitting. We'll let you have early access to play to level 4, Vinicky said. Now, before you go saying, what, only level 4? 4th level in D&D is actually quite a lot already, and it is quite a lot. He added with a laugh. Baldur's Gate 3's early access build will contain roughly 20 hours of gameplay consisting of 80 combat encounters, 45,980 lines of voice dialogue in English, 596 intertraceable characters, or interactable characters, 146 spells and actions, 4-player online LAN co-op. By comparison, Divinity Original Sin 2's early access build was roughly one half the size, containing just 22 combat encounters, 142 characters, 69 spells, actions. The early version of Baldur's Gate 3 will also introduce 5 playable origin characters with unique backgrounds and story paths written by Larian. Sometime after the launch, in addition to custom characters that players create themselves. This game is shaping up to be amazing. I hope it's good. It looks like it will be. It looks like they'll definitely give you tons and tons of choice. Alright guys, well that about does it for this mega episode of Chatty with Matty, your source for the daily gaming news update. Let me know what you think about Halo Infinite and the new details on the delay below. All these new details coming out from all these delays. What do you think is next to be delayed? Because it seems like we're going to get some more delays for sure. Hopefully it's not any of the bigger ones like Spider-Man Miles Morales or something, but I'm definitely leaving the path open to that. It might be very obvious for that to happen. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember, follow me on the 3Ts and IG, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram. I'm Matty. Remember,
Be yourself.
and eat a cookie. Bye.